Basia Hoffman, and welcome to Meet and Greet. This is a half-hour show taped weekly here in Beverly Hills for the communities of Beverly Hills and Bel Air. Today is my great pleasure for you to meet Michael Jann. He's a comic writer, and he is a writer for the Jay Leno show, Tonight Show, Jay Leno. So here, how are you? I'm glad you came.
Good, Basia, thank you.
I'm glad. Tell me a little bit about, we just finished the strike. You must be happy to be back at work.
Yeah, but on the advice of my attorneys, I've been advised not to answer any questions tonight. So.
All right.
I can't say anything.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about Michael.
No.
Michael, and you were born in the Midwest, weren't you? Isn't that?
Born in the Midwest,
yeah.
yes.
And then?
Davenport, Iowa, and then headed east for the best kindergartens in Connecticut. And then lived in Connecticut most of my life, and then worked in advertising in New York and Philly and Boston and Hartford, and then headed out here when Jay took over the Tonight Show.
And so when you were going through college, did you say, oh, I want to be a comedy writer? I mean, you have to be somewhat funny.
It was just like that. I said it in a woman's voice, just like that.
So you said you want to be a comedy writer, and there you're going to go to L.A., and you're going to, how did that happen? Tell me a little bit about the journey.
I was a wildlife biology major. I thought I was going to be a veterinarian at first, and got a D in botany, so I couldn't get into vet school. And then became a wildlife biology major, and noticed that none of my friends were in my major. It seemed kind of antisocial, and I was hanging out with other people. And I started writing for the school paper, and I had a humor column. And I remember I had a humor column of fake. It was an advice column, like a Dear Abby, only I made up the questions and gave the worst possible advice. And I remember one day running to the student union with my latest, whatever I'd written. And it just struck me that I was running eagerly to this thing without being paid or having to be there. And I realized how much I loved that. And that's when it really sunk in that I might be able to do this for a living, be a comedy writer, and just never stopped writing comedy after that.
So you kept writing comedy. Mm-hmm. And then when was the move into Los Angeles?
That was 15 years ago. I was, at that time I was writing for Jay, a little bit freelancing. He was just starting as a guest host.
That 15 years ago, you're saying?
Yes.
He started as a guest host?
He was guest hosting for Johnny, and at the time he was open to freelancers and faxes, and I got his attention that way. And he started using my jokes and buying them. And I just kept at it until he saw a reason to hire me.
Okay, so now a typical day in Michael Jann's life with the Tonight Show and Jay Leno would be, describe it for me.
I get there early and I have 3 hours of hair and makeup, usually.
You don't. I know you don't, Michael. No, you don't. But you get there early. How early do you get there? And really, what is your day? Seriously, let's try it. Just be serious for one moment.
Seriously, the Tonight Show, because it tapes every night of the week. We do 5 shows a week, 254 shows a year, something like that. Yeah. It's pretty regular hours. It can be 9 to 5-ish for the writers because the show tapes at 5, and then Jay's on stage doing the material, and I'm a morning person. I like to get there in the morning, 8 or 9, and be writing all day until about 4 o'clock when that's about the deadline.
So for people that don't understand what you do break it right down. So you get in at 9 in the morning, whatever, and then you're going to do...
I like to admit my leisurely hours.
No, but then you
I get in at the crack of something. Now, what I do for a living is I try to overdose on current events. I get to my office, and I've got the paper open, I've got the television on, I've got the internet on, I've got people handing me AP wire stuff. Just as much current events. I'm the king of useless information. I'm the world's leading authority in stuff that you won't care about tomorrow. And I just try to OD on that until I start writing about it. And whenever I get a page of jokes, I hit print. And
so in the day, for instance, you're writing your jokes. Mm-hmm. So you're on your piece of paper. So how many jokes would you have? Would you have 10, 12, 15? Do you do 50? What type of paper? How long is your paper? I
try to do on a page 6 or 7 jokes, 4 or 5 pages a day. So about 30 jokes is my average. I try not to give Jay too many. I don't want to just overwhelm him with rough drafts of things. I just try to, when I'm proud of a page, I hand it to him.
So when you're proud of your page, Do you type it, or are you writing it
on the computer.
longhand?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're typing it and then you hand
I
it in?
actually write everything longhand. I have a pen in my hand and a pad, and I'm drawing arrows and making connections and stuff. But then when I hear the joke, then I type it.
So you connect your dots,
yeah,
and then you're able to do your joke. And how many writers are there? Are there quite a few? Are you the only one?
I'm the only one.
You're the only one?
No, there's about 19 writers on the Tonight Show, and you know, Jay does so many shows. You know, no matter how hilarious he is, and he is, but he just needs material because that's the nature of the show, is to comment on today's news. And so we have about 19 of us. Half the guys and women are monologue writers, and the other half work on stuff that happens after the monologue.
Okay, so your monologue, is that right? So
I do mostly
specifically monologue. And you've been there 15 years, over 15 years, you said. So that was your dream job?
Absolutely. That or center field for the Yankees. That went by the wayside when the fly ball hit me in the forehead.
Okay.
So then it was Tonight Show.
All right. So for those kids out there that are watching in the community that say they would love to do something where they would like to write and become part of a show, and what would you say to them? They first have to go through courses, of course, but after that, what then?
The 3 pieces of advice I would give any writer are never give up, and never give up. Because writing, like tennis, is something you get better at. You see old people playing tennis, they get better and better. Writing, you get better at. So just never give up. Just keep trying and write. I talk to people who want to be writers, and I ask them if they keep a journal. No. Do you write? No. Well, you don't want to be a writer then. Most writers are compulsive communicators, and they write. And that would be my advice to anyone wanting to be a writer is do it. Get better at it.
That's great advice. And your team, are they mostly A personality types? Are they very compulsive? Are they very, they must be on purpose.
I don't like them.
You don't like your team?
No.
Okay.
No, they're great. It's an amazing group of people. I remember when I first got there, I was so intimidated to be around people who are so rapid fire funny, like you see on TV. If you're being made fun of, expect 10 jokes to hit you. It's a lot of fun, and it's quite the variety of people. There are confident, outgoing people. There are shy writers. They're quiet. There's fat ones, skinny ones, kids that climb on rocks. There's all of them.
And female, male?
Yeah, mostly male, but
mostly.
There's a couple of women on the show.
Okay. So your day is mostly in the day. He goes on, Jay Leno goes on at about 5 or 6, you said?
The show, it depends. This time of year tapes from 4 to 5.
4 to 5. And then, so it's pre-taped, really. And then it's live but pre-taped.
Right.
Right?
So something like that.
Yeah. And then at 11 o'clock it goes on for everyone to see.
Right, be at 11:30 or 11, depending where in the country.
Right, exactly. And so you're able to watch which jokes you've done or which ones he's used.
Right, I can stand there and watch it live at 5 o'clock or go home and watch it at 11:30.
Do you stay and watch?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
Stand there and watch.
Are most of the writers there as well, or do they just observe?
It's funny to me, most of the writers do not go down and watch the show. I don't know why. I do about half the time. It's fun. It's ridiculous. When I have a friend come there, they just can't believe that that's my office. It's like the circus. It's just too good to be true. You know?
Are there 19 of you in one huge room? You said your
everyone
office.
wonders that from watching the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
I am married to Mary Tyler Moore, though. No, not really. It is, the monologue writing is very solitary. Most of the monologue writers are in their office alone, writing. The people who work on the stuff after the monologue, that's more collaborative. Things get shot and produced, there's scripts, and things get produced, so there's more collaboration. They have the fun of being in a room, and I have that fun sometimes, but generally it's more like what a monk does.
What a monk does.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Jay, as far as Jay's personality style, meshing with certain writers, he meshes with all of them, or does he converse primarily with you?
Yeah.
And yeah, he does. And then afterwards, what?
No, not primarily with me. I didn't mean to say yes to that. He's in his office talking to, he's the boss. He talks to whoever he wants to.
Is he easygoing?
Oh, amazingly easygoing. Just the greatest boss in the world, and we all know it. It's a pleasure.
He seems to be, as you are, when I've spoken to you before, humble, very humble, and but yet you are brilliant in your own right, and certainly he is.
I wouldn't go that.
Certainly.
I don't know about me, but he is. He's a rare bird. He's as quick as they come.
I know. And so you met him. Do you socialize also? Do the writers get together and socialize, or you just do your job and that's it?
You know, there's not as much socializing as I wish there was. We joke that one night we went out to. All the writers went out and shot pool one night about 14 years ago. There isn't a lot of that, but that was the one positive of the strike was forced socializing. It was like, okay, you kids, get together and talk, you know.
Did you walk the lines?
I did.
And where did you walk? In front of NBC?
In front of NBC, mostly.
Right. And tell me something. How did that really impact you?
It's just surreal. If you've never done it, you can't believe that you're outdoors holding a picket sign, walking in circles all day and not getting paid for it, and there's no end in sight. It's I wish I could think of something good about it other than we were providing moral support to each other.
Correct.
To the people you know personally. You know, it's your way of saying, hey, I'm not out on the golf course. I'm here because you're here. And so that was a good feeling. And you knew that the thousands of writers all picketing at once were doing the same thing for each other, even if we didn't know each other. Because when I would drive home after feeling I had wasted my day, I would see, you know, pockets of writers on street corners with their signs, and it adds up. You know, it really did make a statement, I thought, in the town.
And for those who might not have been aware that there was a writer's strike to begin with, there very few would not, but there are those that wouldn't. What were the issues about primarily?
Me getting latte with foam, that was a big.
No, the issue of the residuals, wasn't it? That was one of
the
primary.
It was about residuals for the internet. Writers for television, when we write something, we get paid. If it gets used again, we get paid again a smaller amount, and it goes down and down and down. When the internet came along, the studio started showing our stuff online and not paying us, and wanting to not pay us. At first they thought it was promotion, and but then they started advertising during it, which isn't promotion. That's making money, is what that is. And their offer to us was a nice round figure, 0. And so the Writers Guild went on strike. Mm-hmm.
So you walked and picketed, and then there were all kinds of auxiliary technicians, people all involved in the industry that were also not with a paycheck.
Right.
And then you settled 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yes.
And you must be delighted.
I am delighted. I'm in a good mood. It's funny that we scheduled this interview a while back, and it falls on the day, essentially the day we got back.
I know. And what's really wonderful is that you're still here.
Yes.
And that despite the fact that you worked yesterday and you worked today, you still showed up for the show, which is really wonderful to do that.
Okay.
And they settled it, and you're happy with the settlement, besides
Absolutely.
the fact that you're going to get paid and you're getting a paycheck.
Well, you know, a lot of writers who went on strike, this is a really a good thing, I think. A lot of the writers who went on strike lost way more money than we'll ever get back from the benefits, because the benefits, the things that we won were more for the future. I mean, the future could be next week for some people, but for the next who knows how many years, young people who are becoming writers now will know that they're protected when their material gets used on the internet. It's crazy not to pay you for it there, as if that's a different media.
Right, right. So that from now what's your goal? To continue to write for...
To continue to write. My goal right now is to continue to write for Jay, write the Tonight Show monologue as best I can, and just help him any way I can.
Michael, were you doing monologues when a strike was on?
No.
You didn't do anything. You didn't even touch a pen. You just
I wouldn't say I didn't touch a pen. I did some writing of my own for myself, not for anyone or anything, things that I might hope to market someday. I mean, I think most writers did that, but what we didn't do is write for the shows that were employing us. I know that none of the Tonight Show writers submitted any jokes, and it was something we talked about constantly among ourselves, and we just hoped and prayed that the strike would end soon enough.
Wasn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it Jay that continued his staff and continued to pay, even though the strike was on? He was one of the last ones to...
He did. Jay paid the staff by... People got confused about this. It wasn't the writers.
Oh,
The
okay.
writers were not getting paid. We were the ones not getting paid. But most of the staff is not writers. There were a lot of people who worked behind the scenes, as you see here. And those people Jay paid, even though there was no show for 2 months. And he was in a tough spot. He was in the middle and handled it as gracefully as he can. I mean, he was taking care of those people, trying to take care of us, and trying to take care of his name and his brand and his show. And now we're all back, and everybody lived.
Right, and the plus that he had versus other shows is that he can also write.
Right.
Now, I imagine that you were all watching this and saying, "Well, that's not the line I would have written." But
he's hilarious, and he can write, as you said.
Yeah.
And he also had a stockpile of all the jokes that we've written for him for 15 years. So he was reaching back and using some of those, and his own observations of the day, and it added up. I didn't like it one bit. No, I'm kidding. I didn't watch. It would be too painful to watch the show without my involvement, and I'm just glad I'm back there.
So you said this is a first for you. You've never been in front of the camera. You're always behind the camera. Well,
James Lipton is after me constantly, and I keep saying no, but I granted the interview.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And it's delightful to have you. And I always like a first. Okay. That's always, there's not many in life at this point. But, for the people that know out there that you are always, and there's a lot of people that are behind the camera that never get to go in front of the camera. And was that ever a dream of yours from way back that maybe one day you also will go in front of the camera?
Mm-hmm. Not really. I mean, I toyed with the idea of stand-up. I did stand-up once or twice in New York, and it really wasn't for me. I was always deathly shy. When your friend took a snapshot of us here a while, I knew I wasn't smiling. It's amazing people who can turn on the smiles and the tears and the orgasms. How they do it, I don't know. So I'm happy being behind the scenes.
Right, and pushing. Now, he also goes to Vegas. Do you travel to Vegas with him when he's doing the shows as well?
Yeah, once in a while the show does.
How many of you actually caravan?
Everybody. When it's Vegas, everybody goes. Chicago, everybody goes. I remember in New York, everyone went but the writers. We were sad. But we've traveled with the show 4 or 5 times. It's a lot of fun.
Do you also write the jokes for Kevin? Who's in the music? No, he has to
he's
totally ad-lib.
Totally ad-lib. Very funny guy.
Is he?
Yeah,
is
great chemistry with you. I think it's just fantastic. It's a really stumbled upon good thing. They just noticed him in the second row of the band, I think, that he was smiling and funny and connecting with Jay, and they got him front and center about 10 years ago, and it's great.
That is really wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great, too. I mean, he seems like such a positive person, and having spoken the time that I've spoken with you, you have so many parts to you that I would love to, I'd like to explore that, because, yes, you are a comedy writer. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are a father and a wonderful person.
I don't want to discuss.
No.
That's a private thing for the president.
Okay, all right. We won't discuss that. All right. But having said that, you're really a wonderful human being, and you give a lot of yourself, and you're very humble, and you don't talk about it very much.
You're saying it just like I wrote it. Thank you. It's so good.
You know what? You know what it is, Michael. No, seriously. Mm-hmm. Seriously, and that's hard for you, because you taking compliments is very difficult, and I know that's
through it.
Please try to struggle through it, because it's important. It is important to also say you work with charities as well, and you mentioned one of them about. Tell me again about the Warrior. There's one
called Wounded Warrior that I like, and it's particularly apt in Beverly Hills in Los Angeles, because there are a lot of people who say, I'm against the war, but I support the troops, but I'm against the war. Well, if you support the troops, you've written a check to Wounded Warriors, because they're the people who take care of injured troops when they come home. I mean, there's Wounded Warriors, and a sister charity to them is called Soldier's Angel. And that one's amazing, because talk about having no overhead whatsoever. Zero. They hook you up with the name of a soldier in a foxhole, and you go to Trader Joe's and fill a box with, peanut butter pretzels or magazine, whatever it is you think they might enjoy getting,
right.
and off you send it. There's no middleman eating half the pretzels. And Wounded Warrior is one that supports troops that are injured when they're home. So it's something to look into if you've ever uttered the phrase, I'm against the war, but I support the troops.
And what made you interested in Wounded Warrior initially? Was there something personal?
Well,
or
it was the first, I think when all the hostility, when the military action started, I had 2 children who are teens now, so I guess we've been doing that a long time. But I just remember wanting them to appreciate the fact that there were people fighting for them, like spending a night in a foxhole while they're sitting in front of a plasma screen TV or something. I wanted them to understand that, so it was fun to go to go to the store. I don't plug Trader Joe's 3 times. I don't know why I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But to send a bunch of stuff to people who were fighting for us. So that's how I learned about that one. And then from learning about that, I stumbled upon the Wounded Warrior, which is, important too.
And you heard about it, or you stumbled it through the internet?
I think through the internet. Yeah.
And then got involved in that way and was doing care packages and sending that out.
Yeah.
How fantastic. And your kids were involved, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
did they do it as a school project as well?
No, just because I dragged them.
Yeah. And just because you dragged them.
Yeah.
And so anyone can go into the internet and pick up the
and
site,
find out
which
about
is
those.
Wounded Warriors, if they wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And about your children a little bit, just
Mm-hmm.
as far as what their interest in writing, have they acquired any of your talents? Or?
No, they're bad kids. I have 2 kids. One escaped. One is in college, and one is a sophomore in high school. And they're good. They're funny. They're both funny. I think they learn that defense mechanism against
like their dad, huh? Just like their dad. Are there 2 boys or boy girl?
A girl and a boy.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing some writing or not really? They let you do that?
No, yeah, not really. I haven't seen that yet. But you never know. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I think it's always fun to see what the parents do and how the children either emulate that or steer away from it and develop their own creativity.
I can't wait to see how they turn out.
So your father, right? Your father, was he? What did he do? What was his?
He
profession?
was. It's funny. He was in the automobile industry. He was an automobile executive, and he. I used to argue with him at the kitchen table about. I remember when Detroit was about to start losing to Japan, and he was telling me that people would always want the big cars with the fins and stuff, and he missed it by this much. But he was a great guy,
And your mom, was she a stay-at-home mom?
Stay-at-home mom, 7 kids. I think at her funeral, I did the math, and she had prepared about 100,000 meals.
Now you said 7 kids.
Yeah.
7.
So I'm one of 7.
That's a water polo team.
It is. It's something. It's something.
Half a baseball.
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot of kids. Where do you fall in the series of
near
kids?
the middle.
So
I would sit near the middle of the table so neither parent could reach me.
That's a safe place. So you were the mediator, probably, right?
They say there's some of that with the middle child. Yeah.
Mediator.
Make sure everybody's okay.
Yeah. Are you close with your brothers and sisters, and are they also in any form of entertainment? Or are you the only one?
No, I have a brother who's way funnier than me. He's 2 years older than me. He's like Bill Murray. He's just a riot, and everyone wonders how I became the comedy writer. And he's in insurance or something.
Anybody here? Are they all in the Midwest?
They're all back east.
They are.
Yeah.
So you're the only one out this way.
I am.
Well, you've got a lot of guests coming to your house then.
Yeah, they come once in a while.
Yeah. So anything else that you could, for the community, that you could encourage in your field of expertise, which is comedy, writing for a huge show. Huge. Mm-hmm. There's kids out there that just never give up. I think that's a great thing. As far as schooling, if someone said, well, I'm not going to really want to, I don't want to go to university. I just want to get into being an assistant or apprentice, or is there any opportunity to do that with kids?
At the Tonight Show?
At the Tonight Show, or any show that you've been also involved in, or people that you've heard?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it's funny being a writer. We just have people always say, do you meet a lot of celebrities? No, I don't really have business with them. Do I have a lot of connections such as you're describing? No. We're just, the writers are grateful to be there and working hard, and I can't help in that way, but I always can advise people just to find what you like.
I know you're such a nice guy. You are. You're such a nice guy, and you're such a giving soul, and you do.
Why,
you extend your heart to everybody who wants to access you, and I think that is what I saw in you when I first met you.
Well, thanks. Thank you.
That you're really a nice, decent, great guy, and humble.
Go on.
So, yeah. Humble, and it's really interesting to have you on the show, and just see a little bit another side. And I'm glad you could be in front of the camera and not behind the camera.
It's
that's
fun.
really
it's
great.
Not so bad.
It is.
Yeah.
So the other thing, the best day that you've had in your career, and the worst day.
The best day I had in my career was so funny. All the writers are excited about it. You always want to get jokes into the show, and you count them. Did you have 2 or 3 in, or did you have 5 or 6? How'd you do tonight? And one night, I was home, and the monologue was faxed. Do we have time?
Yes,
okay.
we just have a quick minute or two. Go ahead.
Well, the monologue gets faxed to me, the finished monologue, and one of the guys wrote a fake monologue of all my jokes so that I would think I had all 24 jokes in. And I was calling everybody I knew.
to make them
to
watch
brag
your
about it.
show.
Yeah. And in fact, it was a fraudulent document.
Oh, no.
So that was a lot of fun.
I bet.
Yeah. Worst day, I would say the strike, going out on strike, having to be out in the front lawn.
Yeah.
That was not good.
Well, I am so thrilled. I am absolutely so thrilled that you had a chance to come on and be on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, and I hope I shed a little light on what the strike was about and what,
Absolutely. So here we are again. We're closing this segment of Meet and Greet. Please join us again, and thank you for all your comments and all of your suggestions. It's wonderful to hear from you. You can call us at 310-282-1444. Again, I'm Basia Hoffman. Have a great day.
All right.